Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, DJ Hamilton here of the DJ Sports Show here in Garnerville, New York on WRCR 1700 AM radio. It's a beautiful day out here today. Hope you guys are all getting outside. How you doing today, Will?
I'm doing all right, DJ. And yourself?
Doing great, man. How, you enjoying the weather? It feels like spring today.
Absolutely.
But oh man, it's great to be here with you guys again today here on WRCR 1700 AM radio to talk some sports. We got some great topics here for you guys today. I'm going to talk Shohei Ohtani, Adam Silver's latest comments on the future of the NBA All-Star Game, and Paige Bueckers' resurgence of the UConn women's basketball team as she is having a great NCAA tournament. Before we get into that, though, ladies and gentlemen, continue to check out DJSportsShow.com, all things sports, my website. I did an article called It Ain't So Show on Shohei Ohtani, what's going on with him. Make sure you guys go check that out. Also, subscribe to my website. It's free. Check out my merchandise. I have cool merch on there. I think you guys will like it. And just continue to spread the word to anybody you know loves sports. Also, tonight, as I record this episode on Saturday, March 30th, I have a big interview dropping tonight with my guy Aaron Remy, CEO of the 3G Boxing Club, at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. It was my first interview ever for the DJ Sports Show on the road, where I went to his 3G Boxing Club that he owns. We talk about entrepreneurship, his upbringing, how he completely changed his life around for the better, and his love for boxing, and much more on that great interview, which drops on my YouTube, DJ Sports Show, at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time tonight. So make sure you guys go check that out and subscribe and spread the word. It's going to be a good one. I'm sure you guys are going to like it. But first things first, ladies and gentlemen, first topic I want to get into is LA Dodgers Shohei Ohtani's gambling scandal controversy that's been talk of the news the last, 10 days now, since it was reported on March 20th by ESPN investigative journalist Tisha Thompson, who's one of the best in the business, that Dodger star Shohei Ohtani's now former interpreter, as he was fired by the Dodgers recently, Ippei Mizuhara, was fired on allegations of $4.5 million in wire transfer in Ohtani's name to an illegal Southern California bookmaking operation for gambling to Matthew Boyer. The biggest thing on this this investigation, is Mizuhara, him and Ohtani, they were boys since they were teenagers, which is the big thing. Like, Ohtani trusted this guy, and for him to do this behind his back is very troublesome to me. And in a recent interview, Mizuhara, he told ESPN he asked Ohtani to pay off his gambling debt from DraftKings and South Carolina bookmaker Matthew Boyer, but Ohtani denied that. And Mizuhara, Ohtani, and I'm saying this in quotes, wasn't happy about it, and he said he would help me out to make sure I never do this again. He decided to pay it off for me. I want everyone to know Shohei had zero involvement in betting. I want people to know I did not know this was illegal. I learned my lesson the hard way. I will never do sports betting ever again. But then, 24 hours later, Mizuhara told ESPN Ohtani had no knowledge of his gambling debts and that Ohtani had not transferred money to the bookmaker's associate. So 24 hours later, he basically contradicted his original initial statement on what he initially stated to ESPN, which is making the story go over the place and making people question, okay, so what really happened? Did Ohtani know about this and he just trying to cover his friend? Or did you really just steal money from your friend? And Ohtani had some comments in the press conference he did on Monday where he confirmed he was in a level of shock of Mizuhara's gambling scandal. Here's what Ohtani had to say on Mizuhara's scandal.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for coming. I wanted to be here today to be able to talk. I'm sure it was very tough. It's been a tough week for fans and team officials, and I'm very grateful that the media has been patient in this process. Just on a personal note, I'm very saddened and shocked that someone who I'm trusted has done this.
So yes, that was Ohtani's interpreter, Will Ireton, who was part of the operations for the Dodgers team, performance operations. And he basically was translating for Ohtani how Ohtani was shocked. Ohtani was speaking in Japanese. As we know, he has a language barrier. He's not fluent in English. And he was just speaking to the level of how shocked he was in finding out about Mizuhara's gambling scandal of stealing his money. And then Ohtani stated as well, Ohtani confirmed he never bet on gambling before on baseball or any other sport, or has asked anybody on his behalf or gone on to a bookmaker to bet on sports. Here's what his translator had to say.
まずはじめに、僕自身は、何かにかけたりとか、誰かに代わって、そのスポーツイベントにかけたりとか、それをまた頼んだり、っていうことはないですし、僕の口座からブックメーカーに対して、誰かに送金を依頼したことももちろん全く、ありません。
So I never bet on baseball or any other sports, or never have asked somebody to do it on my behalf. And I have never went through a bookmaker to bet on sports.
So yes, Ohtani, he's basically stating his innocence, that he was not acknowledgeable of what was going on behind the scenes throughout these last 2 years, because it was confirmed since 2021, his former interpreter Mizuhara was doing bets on different sports other than baseball, whether it's college football, NFL, NBA, and international soccer. And he did state that him and Ohtani had a meeting one time. This guy's been full of lies, how they had a meeting one time saying you cannot bet on baseball, which is a no-no. And Ohtani also stated on when he first found out about Ippei's gambling.
そして僕がこのギャンブルに関しての問題を初めて知ったのは、韓国での第一戦が終わった後に行われたチームミーティング、の時、試合の後のチームミーティングの時です。
The first time I knew about this gambling, Ippei's gambling, was during the after the first game when we had the team meeting in the clubhouse.
So Ohtani didn't find out about this scandal that was going on with his interpreter Mizuhara until after that preseason South Korea game where the Dodgers were playing with South Korea. And I know there was this picture on social media of them laughing in the dugout, and that was before he found out. So he found out after that game and the fact, and he was very disappointed. And they had a talk in the hotel, and Mizuhara told him everything, and that's when Ohtani was like, he was really sad, and he expressed that and everything of that nature. And I'm gonna say what he said, and I'm gonna quote it. On a personal note, Ohtani said, "I'm very sad and shocked that someone who I've trusted has done this." That is someone I know who's deeply hurt, and someone who he's been friends with since he was a teenager. They've been friends since they were 13 years old. Mizuhara was the one who came with Ohtani to the United States for him to pursue his baseball career in 2018. They came together 6 years ago so Ohtani could take his game to the next level and play in the major leagues, which he has done and more some, as basically probably the best player, two-way player since Babe Ruth. We've never seen a guy like him since Babe Ruth, which is a century ago. No player is able to do everything that Ohtani is able to do at his level, especially in the modern era. And we have a lot of great players, from Mookie Betts, Juan Soto. We've seen Barry Bonds. We've seen Pete Rose over the years, Derek Jeter. None of them can do what Ohtani can do. And this was a guy who signed the largest contract in North American sports history, and back in December, of $700 million for 10 years. This guy is a big deal. This is why this is such a big deal. And I know, Will, you don't watch sports, but say, because I'm a athletic guy, I like to exercise and stuff like that. Like, say I were from a different country, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't speak fluently in English.
Right.
Like, say I'm from Africa or Spain or somewhere.
Okay.
And I'm gonna use the NBA for example. That's my favorite sport, basketball. And say I'm coming over. We've been friends since say we're friends for since we were 10 years old.
Right.
And then I trust you. You're my agent. You're my interpreter to translate for me. And then I find out, as my career progresses, I find out, I become one of the biggest players in the league. I signed this big contract. And I find out all this time, these past couple of years, you were stealing my money behind my back, and then you were betting on it, and then you were actually losing. You were losing the bets as well. You're putting yourself in more debt, and I had no knowledge of it, what was going on. And we were close to the point, you were on my bank account. You know how parents have their kids on bank accounts where you're a certain age, you can't have your name by yourself until you're 18.
Yeah.
So that was basically what Ohtani, I guess, and his friend had. They had probably their names on the account together, where Ohtani's friend could take out money and do these bets, illegal bets with a illegal bookmaker. Say you were to do that, wire transfers, and I find out, wait, this guy was using my money that I worked hard for. I'm the one going to practice, going to the games, risking my body and all that, and he's using that, and he basically told lies about me. I'm gonna feel betrayed. I'm gonna be mad.
If I may get a little multilingual here on the show, that is no bueno.
Yeah, no bueno. Well,
exercise.
Yeah, got that Spanish over there.
We're talking about language barriers. I thought I might whip out that 4 years of Spanish I took.
Yeah, the 4 year. Oh, you took 4 years.
I retained none of it. Don't ask me to say anything else. That's all I got for you.
Hey, I took up to level 3 Spanish. So after sophomore year, I was like, it's dropping my GPA. I said, nah, no more.
Yeah,
I was doing solid in it, but I was like, I don't want to drop my GPA no more.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, but so I could feel Ohtani's pain. I would be mad. I would be like, someone who This was a guy who was accompanying you in dugouts, in games, locker rooms, went to media meetings with you, who was your translator, sitting next to you side by side every single game, who you went to trips with, business trips with, everything. A guy you did everything with for the last how many years. And he's seen you grow up, grow into this incredible player throughout your baseball career, seeing how much you become to the masses in baseball. Because Ohtani, let's be real, he's the best player in baseball. I'm sure you don't even watch baseball, but you know who he is, right?
Honestly, I haven't been as familiar with the name, but I recognize Babe Ruth, and that is saying he's the next Babe Ruth is some pretty high praise.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
I remember I did articles on him in college. I was like, this guy's a big deal. And he's a 2-time AL MVP. Like, that's a big deal.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's one of the biggest markets now in the Dodgers, which now he's going to have more of a limelight. Hopefully he's winning more now. They're going to be, because they're going to be World Series, the favorites now to win the World Series. And he has a chance to be in the limelight now in the playoffs and a bigger stage, more magnified, so people can see him play more. Because with the Angels those years, he was doing great numbers statistically, but they weren't winning. And if you want to, if he wants to get known to the wider public, you got to win. You got to, win championships, contend for championships at least. And it's good for baseball if he's able to do that, especially in a market like LA, which is one of the biggest markets in the world, probably the second biggest market, Los Angeles, outside of New York. So, yeah, Ohtani, and his camp initially said that Ohtani transferred the funds to cover Mizuhara's debt and presented Mizuhara with an interview. But the following day, a statement from Burke Brettler, LLP, the law firm that's representing Ohtani in the matter, said the two-way star, quote, has been a victim of massive debt. And Ohtani had no knowledge of his debt and that Ohtani had not transferred the money. And Ohtani also stated that Ippei has been telling everybody around that he has been communicating with Shohei on this account to my representatives to the team, and that hasn't been true. And Ohtani also stated, quote, during the team meeting, obviously Ippei was speaking English, but I didn't have a translator by my side. But even with that, I kind of understood what was going on and started to feel there was something amiss. Prior to the meeting, I was told by Ippei, let's talk one-on-one after the meeting in the hotel. So I waited. And so up until that team meeting, I didn't know Ippei had a gambling addiction and was in massive debt. And for those of you who don't know, ladies and gentlemen, MLB players, they're allowed to bet, but not on baseball. So any other sports like basketball, NFL, hockey, and so forth. But it can't be with an illegal bookmaker or offshore websites, which is what his former interpreter, Mizuhara, did. And you're not allowed to do that. And California is also one of a dozen states actually where betting is, not legal. And even in legal states, you're not allowed to bet with an illegal bookmaker that operates outside gambling regulations, even in states where it's legal. Even though this investigation is going to be going on, Ohtani is expected to play. He's going to let his team, with his lawyers and stuff, handle this incident. And he's just going to try to play baseball. He's focused on winning a World Series. He wants to help his team win, and that's his ultimate goal right now. So he wants to, off the field stuff, he's going to let his team handle that so he can just focus on baseball and helping his teammates. But yeah, this is a big deal. Like, we haven't seen anything like this in a while. This is something Ohtani is not a guy who we expected this to happen to. Everything was going this way, and then this drops in his lap, which is kind of sad. But yeah, the Dodgers, they didn't win their first game, so that's a good start. But as this plays out, investigations usually take a while. They don't just happen and get solved overnight. It usually takes months, sometimes years. So we'll see how this plays out. But Ohtani's interpreter, Mizuhara, and he's probably going to get arrested. Boyer, his home got raided back in October. I read some reports. And then they also started doing this investigation back in January. So we'll see where this goes from here. But yeah, hopefully the best results come out for Ohtani. I don't want to see the guy banned from baseball if that was the case, if reports came out and with a further investigation that he actually did know about this. But yeah, I'll take his word for it. You're innocent until proven guilty, which is the old saying goes. So we can't say, oh yeah, he knew about this and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the latest on Ohtani and the gambling scandal going on with him and his former interpreter. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the DJ Sports here on WRCR 1700 AM radio. We're going to take a quick break. Coming back, we're going to talk on NBA Commissioner Adam Silver's latest comments on the future of the NBA All-Star Game. It's the DJ Sports here on WRCR 1700 AM radio, and we'll be right back. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here on WRCR 1700 AM radio on the DJ Sports Show with your one and only host, DJ Hamilton. And this topic coming up next, we have NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, who recently was on CNN with Gayle King and NBA legend and legendary TV personality Charles Barkley, talking about the future of the NBA All-Star Game. Here's what he had to say.
Had I not seen what happened this year, I think we were ready to do U.S. First International. I'm just wondering now, and it's a good conversation to have, whether this generation of players, and the teams are complicitous too, because nobody wants them to play hard at the All-Star game.
Nobody wants them to get hurt.
Nobody wants them to get hurt. They see it as a mid-season break. I think of something that was a huge attraction, for example, Sabrina against Steph.
Sabrina. That was my favorite. That was a highlight.
I mean, it says so much about the game. Yes. I think of, again, our generation, Billie Jean King, Bobby Riggs, where it was the battle of the sexes. This was the opposite. This was, as Sabrina said, just two great shooters out on the floor. So I think maybe as opposed to trying to create a super competitive basketball game, which I'm not sure the teams or the players really want at that moment.
Do you think
we should do more fun.
No,
essentially, I've talked to, I'm sure you have too. I talked to a lot of players after the game, and I didn't get the sense that they went out there and said, well, we know what the league wants, and we know they want us to, TNT wants us to play hard, but we're just not going to do it. I think it's just sort of, once they got out there, I think particularly young players, they see it as, again, a mid-season break, an opportunity to have fun, an opportunity to take break from a very long season. I mean, we roughly have 1,300 games over the course of the year, all incredibly competitive games, and I think they see that as something different. They see it, there's always an entertainment aspect to our league, and I think it shifted from when you were a player. And I think to the point where when I saw the popularity of Steph versus Sabrina, see what's happening in the women's game, that we should just be looking to do different things and just make it a celebration of basketball.
Yes, that's NBA Commissioner Adam Silver on his comments stating on the future of the NBA All-Star Game with Gayle King and Charles Barkley, where he was on CNN recently. And those were some interesting statements that he talked about. Yes, I was watching NBA. I'm a big basketball guy. That's my favorite sport. That's my strongest sport. I grew up playing basketball, played in high school, played AAU and stuff of that nature. And I've always grew up loving the NBA All-Star Game. I remember watching the Kobe Bryants, the Kevin Garnett's, Tim Duncan's, Shaq's, Vince Carter, Allen Iverson's, that generation of the 2000s. And it was still competitive during the 2000s. And this year I was watching the All-Star Game, and it just looked like, guys chucking up threes, Duncan layup line. Like nobody was playing no defense. And it ended up being an NBA record of 200 points by the East, defeating the West 211 to 186. Nobody wants to see a team score 200 points. Yes, we want to see entertainment, things of that nature, but at least have some resistance, play some defense. I'm not saying go all out, because remember, these are the franchise players we're talking about here. Like the All-Stars, these are guys who are really, really valuable to their franchise. These are the best players on their respectful teams. And I'm not saying go out there and play full of hardest where, you end up getting hurt and you ended up limping out of the All-Star weekend, and that's what we don't want. But at the same time, people are spending their valuable time, and time is very valuable. We want to see the ultimate pickup game. We want to see the best of the best go at it and compete at the highest level. At least play up to 60, 70% of your ability. Even if you do that, because I remember 2020, we had a very competitive All-Star game. God rest his soul, Kobe Bryant. That was the month after Kobe Bryant passed away, and they did the Kobe and Gigi. One team were number 2, and another team were all 24 in respect to his daughter as well. So that was a very competitive. That was when they did the Elam ending, and that was one of the most competitive All-Star games in recent memory. Even 2022, where it was the 75th anniversary of the NBA, celebrating the 75 greatest players of all time in Cleveland, Ohio. That was a great All-Star game. I think that All-Star game was very entertaining. Steph Curry went crazy that game. He had 16 threes. Are you kidding me? And then the NBA 75 anniversary had an aura to it. That's why it made it even a better weekend than this one was. But the highlight of this weekend when I was watching in February, it was Stephen Curry versus Sabrina Ionescu. That was the most talked about thing heading into the weekend, and it was the most talked about thing even after the weekend. And the All-Star game, it was also set a record for a combined total of points with 397. So the previous records for team scoring in the East was 196 in 2016, which was broken this year by the East with 211. And then combined total record was 374, which was recently set back in 2017. And I remember watching the 2017 All-Star game when I was a junior in high school. That was not a good one. I remember Steph Curry, when Giannis was coming on a fast break, this was Giannis' first All-Star game. That was the year he won Most Improved. This was when Giannis was becoming Giannis. And Giannis was coming down on a fast break, about to do a sick dunk. Steph Curry he was wearing a headband in the All-Star game, and He has his hand on his head. He goes down on the ground and just puts his hand on his head and like, oh, no, don't dunk on me. Like a little meme. And then I was like, yeah, this is bad. I was like, how you just lay down on the floor, put your hands on your head like you're going to sleep on the court on a hardwood, and you let someone just go on you and just dunk on like that. Like you don't even try and think like nothing. It was bad. That's when the NBA started doing the all-star drafts that we had for a couple years, and the captains, things of that nature, Team Giannis, Team LeBron, stuff like that, Team LeBron versus Team Curry, things of that nature, and like Team LeBron versus Team KD. Like it got to that point. That's why they did that for a couple years. Now they're back to the regular East and West format. So yeah, like I remember watching growing up. I used to always watch 2001 All-Star Games, see all those greats that I mentioned before: Kobe, Tim Duncan, Allen Iverson, Kevin Garnett, Dirk, Paul Pierce, all those guys, Shaq. The list goes on and on. The 90s was competitive, the 80s, 70s, and those guys had less technology back then. That medicine wasn't as advanced. The shoe wear wasn't as good as it is now. And those guys were still competing harder and weren't worried about injuries. That's where I don't want to hear the excuses for the players. People are paying the hard-earned money to come here and watch you guys at least compete a little bit. I'm not saying go all out again, but at the same time, if those guys could do it back then with less advanced medicine, technology, and things of that nature, you guys could do it nowadays where everything's more advanced, recovery's better, medicine, everything. So I just want to see that improve. And then transitioning quickly to my last topic, Paige Bueckers of UConn Women's Huskies. She is balling. I'm glad to see her back. She was out all of last season with a torn ACL. And then 2 years ago, she only played 17 games due to hurting herself once again. She has to deal with injuries over the last year and a half now. And to see her come back and how she's playing the NCAA tournament, it's been amazing. She is doing everything on the court. She's hitting mid-range shots. When I'm seeing her in the pick and roll, two are coming at her, and she's finding the open shooter in the corner, which is a smart basketball IQ. She's hitting her floaters. She can hit the three-pointer, step back, spotting up. She can do it all. Her coach, Gino Auriemma, the UConn women's basketball coach, called her the best player in the country, which, that's her coach, so he's going to say that. But Dawn Staley also said recently that Paige Bueckers is the most complete player probably that she has seen at the college level, which is high praise from two legendary coaches right there. And that's saying over Caitlin Clark, who is considered the Steph Curry of women's basketball. You have also Juju Watkins, USC freshman, who is looking like a generational talent in my eyes. So I also did an article on as well with Caitlin Clark. And before Caitlin Clark hype, it was Paige Bueckers who was getting that aura, that esteem, that magic that everybody was talking about her as the next one. And then the injuries happened. She was the AP Player of the Year in 2021, her freshman year. She was the one everybody was talking about before Caitlin Clark blew up. And she's reminding everybody why. She's averaging right now in the tournament, as they play tonight, they play against number 7 ranked Duke, which is going to be a great game in the Sweet 16. There's a great slate of games on today. We have Angel Reese playing for LSU. Caitlin Clark's playing today for Iowa. You have Juju Watkins playing today for USC. And Paige Bueckers playing for UConn. It's going to be a great slate of games. So if you guys love women's college basketball, today is a great day for you. But Paige Bueckers, she's averaging, through the 2 games so far in the NCAA tournament, she's averaging 30 points per game, 10.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 3.5 steals, a block, and shooting 57% from the field. Elite numbers from an elite player. And she's 5'11". She's pretty tall for a female. And she's coming back for another year for the Huskies because she missed all that time with injuries. So she wants to make it up to the fans and also enjoy the college experience one more year before going pro. And the way she's playing right now, and she's just getting her legs under her. If she continues this momentum into the rest of the tournament and then into next season, she could probably find her way back in the National Player of the Year conversation that she once was before the injuries. And she's probably going to be the favorite in the 2025 WNBA draft to go number 1. She's that special of a talent. And her game, she has a little mix, a little bit of Kyrie Irving. Just her craftiness, her ability to score on all 3 levels, the finish is special. And we better not take it for granted. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for the D-Day Sports Show here on WRCR 710 AM radio. Make sure you guys continue to check out my website, djsportshow.com. Subscribe, it's free. Check out my YouTube, D-Day Sports Show, and subscribe and spread the word. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode on this beautiful day. Make sure you guys go get outside. It's your host, DJ Hamilton, D-Day Sports Show. And I hope you guys all have a great Saturday. See y'all next time. Peace.
Cause I don't know how much more I can take. I know that all of y'all can relate.